Welcome today's topic to the Retired Living True series and our topic on downsizing, right-sizing and simplifying. Who was here 2 months ago in August when we did letting go, decluttering or downsizing? Oh, a good number of you. Has anyone made progress on decluttering? Because that's really what that seminar was about. Of those people who put up their hands, put your hand up again if you actually got rid of something and declutter. Oh, wow, well done, good job. Awesome, yeah. Yeah, so today is like the next part of that. What if we were to downsize? What does that look like? So I have two of my team with me today for today's seminar, my wife and partner Annette Janelle and our fabulous move manager, Kimberly Brandt. And do you guys want to come up on stage and we'll get started? And just a show of hands, who has already downsized just out of interest? Keep your hand up if you've downsized more than once. Yeah. So if we downsize, it doesn't mean we're done, are we? Sometimes we decide, okay, we need to downsize again. We often hear people saying, this is my last move, we're never moving again, this is our forever home. And then a year or two later, okay, we need to move again. So we'll talk more about that. I'll come up and join you. So Annette, would you like to start by introducing yourself?
Sure. My name is Annette Janelle, and I have my master's in psychology.
Hold it a little closer.
Hold it closer. Can you all hear me okay? We're good? Okay. Let me know if you can't hear me, and I will make an adjustment. So I have my master's in psychology. I have been a real estate agent since 2000 and focused on helping people downsize since 2011. And
the majority of our business are people that are looking to move to smaller space, and we've even helped, Brett has pointed out, we have helped
people move more than once from their forever homes. We had one lady move from her third forever home.
So it is not permanent.
We just need to, be open to possibilities.
And my name's Kimberly Brandt, and I've been working with the Janelles for about 2 years. And honestly, my background has nothing to do with downsizing or move management. I have my degree in geology, and I did environmental consulting for 25 years. Now, what did I learn out of that I have brought to the team here is project management skills. And really downsizing and making a move is really all about project management, and having a scope and a time frame and a budget. So that's what I try and help you guys implement.
And you are one of the most organized people I know, Kim. You're an awesome project manager. So let's start off. Some of us here in the room, I'm guessing, have already decided at some point we are going to downsize, and others of us are here, we're just curious, what is all this downsizing about? Does it affect me? Because I plan on staying where I am forever. But why should we be thinking about downsizing? So perhaps start with you, Annette.
Most people move because there has been some type of change, a life change, and that triggers that. When we were younger, it was we had a job transfer, or we had a growing family and now our family's gotten smaller, whatever that type of change. And it can be internal or it can be external change. And we don't know exactly what the future holds for us. How many of you were affected recently by the fire? Either were in the yellow zone or in the red zone where you had to evacuate. Within 1 week after that fire, we got a call from a lady that was in her home that she had built with her husband, planned on staying there for the rest of her life. He had passed away a few months earlier. She was still planning on staying in the home for the rest of her life. But then the external of the fire triggered her going, I cannot do this. She had to evacuate, and she goes, this is way too much for me to handle. And within 2 weeks, she made the move to a community. It was being able to have the plan ahead of time that she could act quickly. And so that's what we talk about, is being able to just, what if? Look at what possibilities there are. There are things that can happen. I mean, how many of us thought there was going to be a fire like that? We've never experienced that right here that affected so many of us. So you just never know what's going to happen. Plan ahead, so it's good to look at different options.
Kim.
I think that one of the other things that happens as we're growing, when you're young, you have your children, so your house is growing in size. But of course now What's happening is your children have left. You don't want necessarily the responsibility of a yard or of all the maintenance that comes with owning a home. And so it's an opportunity to kind of live a freer lifestyle as you start to downsize out, as you start to come to a smaller home, a smaller apartment, a condo. There are many options, but it's kind of a freeing opportunity for you to now live the life that you deserve, the one that you have worked so hard for. So you can travel, you can spend time with friends. So I think being open to those options and having that plan is very helpful.
I also think that just being able to make the choices yourself, the more you plan it out ahead of time and have different options and talk to your family members and let them know what your plans are. And it may be just to stay in your current home for as long as possible and maybe make some adjustments to it, but if that doesn't work, what the next option is. It allows you to make those choices instead of your family members coming in and making those choices for you because of some unforeseen event that happened that you are not able to make those decisions yourself.
Is there a downside of waiting too long?
Yeah, there's definitely a downside to waiting too long, and that's exactly it, is that somebody else makes those choices for you. My aunt and uncle, and I don't mean to throw anybody under the bus, but I'm going to with them, they bought their home in about 60 years ago, so they were in their 20s when they bought their house. It's a 2-story house. And for whatever reason, the builder did not think it was wise to put a bathroom downstairs. It's a 2-story house with 2 bathrooms. They've owned this home for 60 years. We've talked to them all of this time, where can you put a bathroom? Look at different options to put a bathroom in. And they've never done it. We love our house. It suited their needs now, but they weren't necessarily planning for the future. What happens when you need a bathroom downstairs? Well, now my uncle has been diagnosed with cancer. He's going through chemo, and he doesn't want to leave his house, and the family is trying to figure out what do we need to do to have a caregiver at the home to be able to take care of him. And we're looking at RVs, trailers, putting that out in front of the house so a caregiver has a place to stay to be able to take care of him. And it's just being able to have the forethought, waiting so long to not make that choice. It puts pressure on the family.
Yeah, and how does he get up and down the stairs when he's weaker after chemo and so forth?
We're actually talking about him not coming downstairs anymore, him staying upstairs all the time. I mean, his world gets a lot smaller. He's not, and there's no balcony or anything upstairs, but at least the bedroom's upstairs. There's a bathroom upstairs. We can change one of the other bedrooms into a living space for him, so he has a little bit of room. But really, it's making the space a lot smaller for him. Whereas if there was a bathroom, it would have made a huge difference.
Thank you. Kim, do you have any other examples of people waiting too long or other reasons why?
Yes, we're actually working with a client right now who they had a plan to downsize here in Reno. They have a 2-story home and realized that they wanted to go to a 1-story home. Unfortunately, the husband fell. And now what they're doing, because of his situation, is they're moving across the country to Minneapolis into an assisted living community. So in an instant, they went from still having, autonomy here within Reno to now needing to be in assisted living and near family. So it's a very stressful situation for the family because all of these decisions are having to be made in about 4 weeks. And it's unfortunate that this occurred. I'm praying that he gets better, and maybe they can move back to an independent community. But their plans for the future have been, I don't know, I don't want to say derailed, but it's been a whirlwind for them.
And it's a lot of pressure on the daughters. In this case, the daughters are talking to me about Dad he wants to come back to his home. He doesn't want to move across the country. So we're telling him it's not permanent. We're just telling him they're just coming to visit. But really, if he had made the decision ahead of time, it would make it so much easier for the family.
So is there anyone else out there who the thought of downsizing is overwhelming? Just the idea of leaving where you are, all of our stuff. Yeah, I see a lot of hands and heads shaking. So where do we even begin if we're thinking about, okay, maybe I'm going to downsize in 5 years' time or 10 years' time? What do I need to start thinking about?
What your future, what you want it to look like. And it can be, like we said, overwhelming as far as you want to do one thing at a time. You don't want to look at the big elephant. And we always talk about looking where you want to move to first, but actually deciding what your future, what you want it to look like. Do you want to be near family? Do you want to be living on a one-story home, or do you want to, we've had people that are like, we had one couple, they wanted to travel a lot more. And they lived in this two-story house with a huge yard, and they were paying extra money for all of this maintenance of the house and the yard, and they were traveling and checking in to make sure everything was still being taken care of. They ended up downsizing to a condo because their future, they wanted something where they could just go travel and see the family. They had grandkids in different areas. They wanted to go see them and be able to know that they could close up their home, and when they came back, it was going to be exactly the same, and they didn't have to maintain anything. They didn't have to get a gardener. They didn't have to do any of that. It was all taken care of for them.
As you guys know, I mean, we spoke about this a couple of months ago. It really is just starting little and really eating the elephant one bite at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. This doesn't have to be overwhelming. And there's lots of opportunities for support out there. Either you can do it yourself if you feel so motivated and you have the energy and the time to do it. And really, the time is now to start. I'm starting to downsize. I'm giving stuff away. I'm giving stuff to my kids. I don't want my family to have to go through my house. Or if there comes a point where I need to move out of my home into a smaller home, I want to be ready. I don't want to wait. I don't want to have to make decisions at the very last second. There's too many decisions to be made, as you guys know, when you're buying a house. Oh my goodness, where am I going to live? What part of town do I want to live in? I need to change my addresses, my bank accounts, my this, my that. There's a lot of decisions. And downsizing and figuring out what I want to take or what you want to take shouldn't be the forefront of that decision. There are many other more important decisions.
Yeah, and
I need to move these chairs. I never see you. Kim kind of block. So what's the first step in the process? Where do we begin? What is our very first part of our plan?
Deciding where you want to live, what you want your future to look like. That is the first step. Other than, as far as what Kim was saying, starting small and going through the downsize process within your home. Once you've decided that you want to make the move, is figuring out where you want to go. And at that point, I would ignore what's in the house. You need to find out where you want to go, because the next step, wherever that is, that kind of helps dictate how many things you can take with you. So we have had people that will downsize just to a single level home, and it's the same size as their two-story home, so they didn't necessarily need to downsize. Everything was brought with them. So, and then we've had other people that are in large homes and then move to an 1,000 square foot apartment. They need to do a significant downsize. So knowing where you want to go is going to help dictate what you're going to take with you. And I recommend that you have more than one plan. Getting back to the lady that moved because of the fire. She and her husband built the home themselves. Their ideal, their plan A, was to stay in their home forever. They even put in a dumbwaiter. It was a two-story house, but they put in a dumbwaiter so that things could be carried upstairs very easily. And then he passed away, and her plan was to continue staying at home. But then the backup was, if I can't stay at home, then I'm going to be moving into a community. For the fire, 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, she was signing a contract to move into a community. She made the decision very fast because she'd already thought about it ahead of time. It wasn't new. And they had also had an, what's to say, state liquidator. They had a close friend of ours, of hers, that, yeah, the executor. So they had a close friend that was the executor that she could talk to that helped make decisions with her. So again, having that support network, talking to your friends, your family who is your support network, help you, will make it a lot easier to make that decision. And then it's always good to have a backup to plan B. If your first idea doesn't work, what other options will work for you? And definitely communicate that with family.
So an example might be I plan to move to community A, but I discover there's a 2-year wait list, so maybe plan C is another community.
Or let's say you're living in the house and you decide you want to move to an active 55 plus community. You want to downsize to the community, and then you've fallen and you're in skilled nursing, and they're saying going to a single family home, you need more care than that. Then having plan C would be going to a community instead, assisted living. So having different options, working through that, and actually taking a look at all of the different options that are available, and being open to possibilities. I've definitely had people that want to stay in the same neighborhood. It is not uncommon if people are going to make a move, they want to stay in the same area because their friends are there, their doctors are there, but you are also limiting yourself. There may be great viable options that are outside of your initial neighborhood that you might want to consider, or just go and take a look at and see if you can envision yourself there. It's exploring all possibilities.
I think to piggyback off what Annette said is that having an idea of where you want to go will help you with the downsizing process. And knowing where you want to go is to Annette's point, is going out and seeing these homes or these condos or these apartments or communities. Go to the open houses. If you know of an open house, go and see, walk through. Could you actually see yourself living there? Take the tours at the communities, see what they have to offer. I think it's important, there is a difference between a 55 active community and a 55 just a community. What do you want in the next chapter of your life? Do you want to be active? Do you want to have all those activities provided for you? Do you want to not cook anymore? That might be important to you. Those are the kind of things that you should start thinking about. Even do the pros and cons list. Get the piece of paper out and do your pros and cons. Sit down with your partner. Talk about what they want. And that'll help you hone in on your plan A, B, and C.
We had a couple that they wanted to stay in the exact same neighborhood. They were in a 2-story house. They ended up moving to a single-story home, same neighborhood, and then turned out that he wasn't able to drive anymore, and she's like, I don't want to drive him everywhere. So they made the choice to move to an active adult active adult 55-plus community. And the reason why was so that he could easily go to the gym, because of the clubhouse. It had the gym, the swimming pool, all the social events, and she didn't have to drive him. It was all there in one space. But initially, they were very resistant to even considering anywhere else. And it would have been a lot easier if they just made that one move to begin with, single level 55-plus community, versus making several moves with one within the community and then moving out of the community. So again, looking at all your options. And it may not even be local. Maybe you want to be near your kids and moving out of state. We've definitely had people do that, and then they go visit their kids and look at the options there as well.
So I think that there's many opportunities for continuing to live independently within Reno. As you know, DeMonte Ranch has quite a few of the 55-plus communities. Del Webb up in Somerset has quite a few of those communities and homes up there. As well as we are also blessed with a variety of senior communities that are up and down the corridor and have a very different feel. So every community has its own vibe, if you will. And so again, it's important for you to decide what kind of, what fits with your vibe, so that you continue to live in the lifestyle that you want to, that you see your next 10, 20 years.
And if you want to stay in your home, well, let me just ask, how many of you want to stay in your home as long as possible? Okay, a very good majority of you. With that in mind, then look at your house and look at what kind of modifications you might need to make in order for you to stay there longer. There are resources for that. We have several businesses that will come out. Safety squads will come out and take a look at your place as far as what options there are. And even getting an occupational therapist coming out and taking a look at your house and seeing what options there are to make it so that you can stay there longer or as long as possible. But even that, you still want to have your next plan B if that doesn't work, plan C. We have had people, we had one couple that their living space was all upstairs. They love their house, but the builder built it for all the living space, the bedrooms, the kitchen, everything was upstairs because of the view. That's what was important for that builder, and that is why they bought the house, was for the view. But it wasn't a good aging in place home, and the way the stairs were, it wasn't easy to put in a chair lift to go up the stairs. And so then they were looking at putting in an elevator. If you live in a 2-story house where there's a closet downstairs and a closet upstairs right above it, it is a lot easier for an elevator to be put in. I mean, they're little, pretty much one person can get in them and go upstairs. In their particular house, the only way to put in an elevator was to go on the outside. That is very expensive. And elevators aren't cheap anyway, but it depends on, you want to look at the options. Is it cost prohibitive for you to even have something like this? If it is, then look at your next options. It's interesting, when Brett and I did the remodel of our home, my mother said, you need to have a grab bar in your shower. I'm like, we don't need a grab bar, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to my mother and put in a grab bar. We use it all the time. I mean, there are definitely safety things you can put in your house that are very helpful that you may not necessarily think you're going to need them now, but I mean, my husband and I aren't necessarily, well, we do hold on to the bar, but we actually use it more like a towel rack too. I mean, there's all kinds of options.
I think one of the things to consider too when you're going to stay in your current home, and you know, if you have services now, such as a gardening service, a house cleaning service, and as Annette said, you know, making some of the modifications to your home to make it a safer environment for you as you do age. And those are great, but and I'm going to probably step on Annette's toes here, but don't forget about maintenance of the home. There's one in particular that I'm thinking of where because of health issues, because of their wanting to spend more time away, is now there's a lot of deferred maintenance on the home. And unfortunately, because of that, you know, trying to sell a home with a lot of deferred maintenance in it is probably a little difficult. So if you're looking at the equity in your home, I'm coming from a homeowner, you know, and I always want to maximize my equity, is if you're looking at that and you don't want to use that equity to try and have to fix up your home before you can sell it. So another consideration for staying in your home is don't defer the maintenance.
Thank you. So one thing I know has helped people is trying to project forward. What does it look like if I'm 10 years older than I am now, or 20 years older than I am now? Or what friends do I have that are 10, 20, 30 years older than I am now? What does my life look like then? Will that still make sense to be where I am now? Because for most people, there'll be a point where it no longer makes sense, or may not be the best place, socialization, meals, and so forth. So let's talk a little bit about the stuff. So that's what kind of holds, oh, you wanted to talk about communities.
So we have a number of these out front. I was mentioned to a woman today, is pick it up. And even though you don't think you're going to need it today, maybe in a year, maybe in 5 years, you might need something like this. This is a summary of all of the 55 and plus communities, the active communities, the single store, or I'm sorry, senior living communities.
Yeah.
Up and down the corridor here. So it's just a resource for you. So take it, put it in your binder. You may never use it. It's okay if you just take one and never use it. But again, maybe you're going to find you're going to need to use it. And maybe it's not for you. Maybe you have a friend who's not attending these seminars who might need something like this. So you can point them out. What a great friend you would be if you can at least give them a little direction for some of this.
It has all the contact information so that you can schedule your own appointments to tour the different communities. And this is all about coming up with your plan. And if you don't mind going to the next slide. On our website, JanelleGroup.com, we have under senior living local retirement communities, because again what I mentioned is that people often want to stay in their same areas where their home is. So you can actually see where all the different communities are located and be able to choose which ones you want to focus in on if that's really important to you. But as I mentioned, sometimes it's good to look outside of your own neighborhood, because the right thing might not be in your neighborhood. It might be just outside of your area.
Wonderful. And for those who have done community tours with us before, we're going to do those again in April. We'll go and tour several communities. So if you haven't been on a community tour, that would be a great opportunity to see what some of the local communities offer.
I have a question for you.
Let everyone take it in first.
Yeah.
So we see helping people a whole range of different amounts of stuff. So this could be stuff because it's a hoarder. This could be stuff because we've pulled everything out of our cupboards. And a lot of people have a whole lot less stuff, but we all have stuff. Can we agree on that? We all have stuff to some degree. Some of our stuff is hidden away where people can't see it. Others, maybe it's more visible. So where do we start when we're dealing with stuff? Because this seems like overwhelming.
Yeah, and my question to you, by a show of hands, how many of you look at this and feel overwhelmed? Yeah. And this is what can happen when you start pulling out things out of your cupboards and because I've gone into homes that are very neat and tidy, but as they start pulling things out, it causes them to have a lot of anxiety and be very uncomfortable with it. Other people, this is their normal. Either way, it can be overwhelming when you're looking at how on earth am I going to downsize this? Where on earth do I start? And so Kim can that's her out.
Yeah, and you can choose to do this yourself, but you need to have a plan. You need to be organized. As Brett said, I'm pretty organized. So this kind of picture makes me a little panicky, but I know where to start, right? I know how to separate. I know how to organize. I know how to talk to you about what you want and what brings you joy, what doesn't, what it literally is trash. But if you were to take this on your own, and that's perfectly okay, you need to have a process and a system. And I know that sounds a little engineerish. I started out in mechanical engineering, couldn't quite go there. But it will make all the difference in the world, because if every one of your rooms looks like this, you're going to pull your hair out. So I encourage you not to pull everything out of a cupboard and make your house look like this, but to take the elephant, again, one bite at a time. We've talked about this: one drawer, one closet, one side of the garage. Make it little, make it manageable, and manage the items that you have. If you're going to donate them, put them in your card. drive them to the donation station. If it's some valuable coin collections, take it over to Lightning Auctions and see if you can sell it on Lightning Auctions. If it's furniture that you're no longer using, if it's still in good condition, see if you can consign it. Those are wonderful options. And I've also given you the options of get your family involved, get those grandkids, and start them on an entrepreneurial business of marketing your things online. It's a great way for them to build their college fund and a great way for you to get rid of some of your items. You can do this, but just have a plan. And I guess that's my biggest takeaway from that.
Should my plan be focusing on all the stuff I have if I know I'm downsizing in the next 6 months, a year? Or do I focus on what I'm taking to my new place? Where should I start? Getting rid of stuff or what I'm taking to my new home?
Focus on what you're taking. You don't want to start focusing on what you're going to leave behind. And we'll get to that, and we've talked about that. But going back, you need to know where you're going, because it is a big difference if you're going to be going from the 3,000 square foot 4-bedroom home to the 2,000 square foot 3-bedroom home. Really, all you're losing there is a bedroom. So that's easy to do, right? So that's not going to take that much time. But if you're going from the 2,000 square foot home into the 600 square foot community apartment room, you need to know that, because now you are paring down by a quarter. So that's very important that you know where you're going. You don't want to wing this. I currently have a client I'm working with, and they're winging it. And their house looks a little like this, drives me insane. So I'm going over next Tuesday, and we're going to organize, because I think this is also driving them insane. But their plan is, it's been a bit backwards. And so it's created a bit of chaos in their life. And I don't appreciate seeing people living in chaos or being overwhelmed. When you're moving, you should be at peace. This should be an exciting time. So take the opportunity to create that exciting time, that next chapter in your life, the next lifestyle change. So don't get bogged down with this, and find your next idea of a home, and then we'll start working on the things that you want to take with you, and don't worry about the other items.
One thing that I've been asked when we have, let's say we're going to do an estate sale, I've had people say, well, should I pull everything out so the estate liquidator can see what I have? The answer is no. We don't want you to pull anything out so the estate liquidator can see what you have. When they come over, they will open up the cupboards. They will look and be able to see. But it's a lot more challenging when you have everything pulled out to really see it. It's actually easier to see when it's in the cupboards and they can just open up the cupboards and look.
Estate liquidators have a system. They are very organized, and they have a program. So doing this is overwhelming. They know exactly. They can open up your cupboards and put together an estate sale very quickly if things are still in cupboards. When they have to start here and clear space just for the tables, then that's where things start to it takes a little more time for them to organize that. Will they get it done? Yes, they will. They may have to charge you a little bit more because now they have to do this. But overall, estate sales are a great way to get rid of your items, but you need to have already left your home to have an estate sale happen. You can't be there. They don't want you living in your home and doing an estate sale. I also recommend that you find out if you're living in a community now that has an HOA, can you do an estate sale? Super important, because many communities around here don't allow estate sales. Every once in a while they'll have I think Somerset has garage sales 2 times a year. You can run an estate sale during those times. but you need to be aware of when that can happen. So don't just think that, oh, well, I'm going to be able to have an estate sale. We may have to do something a lot more creative, like a lot of consignment, donations, see if we can do some sort of lightning auction type of work.
So I'm just looking at all of this. All of us have spent a lot of money over the years accumulating our belongings, our stuff that we now at some point have to divest of. Is there value in the items I have? Some of us hesitate thinking, well, there's all this money value in these items. How would we respond to that?
There is more value in your home than there is in all your belongings. Now, that's for the majority of people. Most people, it's the house. In this particular case, we did do an estate sale, and it was $25,000 that they got that came up from the estate sale. But because there were so many items there that were not of value, that money was used to clear out the house. There were 40-yard dumpsters that were brought in. And not only the cost of the dumpsters, but then you have the crew that needs to go through everything and the labor that's involved in that. So there wasn't a whole lot left. I mean, she did get a check from it, but it wasn't anywhere near $25,000. The good thing is her belongings paid for the clear out of the house. If she went in and just walked away and had somebody else just take care of clearing it out without doing an estate sale or some kind of sale for it, then she would have been a lot more out of pocket than actually having the estate sale. So coming where it's zero, even if you walk away with nothing, at least the house is cleared out. To me, that's a win. If you get a check at the end of that, that's a super win. But the win is being able to clear out the house and be able to sell the most valuable thing, and that is the home that you are vacating.
But be careful to not giving away too many valuable items. If you are already talking to somebody, and I encourage you to contact a professional, contact an estate sale person, ask them if you have value. But don't start giving away the tools because you're trying to empty your house. The tools, some of the silver, or some of the other more valuable items, because money now that could be used that you'd be making in the estate sale is now walking out the door for free. So be a little careful. So you need to have a plan. What are you going to do? If you want to donate all those items and that's perfectly okay with you, that's awesome. I want you to do that. But just know that sometimes, then we still have to do a little bit of a clear out and there might be a little charge. And we're not talking, tens of thousands of dollars. We're talking, maybe $500 to maybe $2,000. So we're not usually talking a lot of money when we're talking about finally clearing out the home. If we're able to do donations and we're able to do consignment and things like that. So really, but you may have been able to at least zero all that out if you did an estate sale.
Let's talk about if we have to do this all on our own or whether we can get help. What are our options available? What does that look like?
So when you do it on your own, and I've definitely talked to people that are doing the garage sale. Have any of you done a garage sale? Yeah. And anybody get more than $1,000 from their garage sale? We got one. More than $500?
Two?
3? You're looking.
A big money maker.
It is not a big money maker. And how much labor is involved in that? An all-day project, and you're pulling everything out, and then at the end of the day, you got to put everything back that didn't sell, or you're calling somebody up to haul away what's left. You're trying to figure this out all on your own. Was it tiring? I mean, most of the people that I talk to, it is really exhausting doing all of that.
Just show of hands, is it tiring doing a garage sale? Because I've been involved myself. Put your hand up if you got rid of everything. It was all gone at the end of the day. No hands.
One person.
One.
A magic answer. So and it is definitely for some people, they're very good at this, but for most of us, it's just a lot of labor and then figuring out what is going to be sold. So usually, what we're talking about is it's weak, no support, unknown strategy. Basically, you're trying to clear out your home. You're doing the best you can and usually it's a way to save money. At least the people that I've talked to, they're trying to make some money, but they're trying to save it as far as the clear out of the home. But does it really cost you less money in the long run? Because when you do that, as Kim was pointing out, you may be selling the most valuable items that could be used to help clear out those items that don't have value. When we organize to have an estate sale done, they have the labor, they clear out all those things that aren't of value, and then they sell all the items of value, and those help pay for the labor of clearing out the house. Whereas if you've already sold it, now you're still left with the items in the home that you no longer want. So it can be very painful, challenging, it's the unknown. And then we have 2, 3, and 4.
And this is in your handout if you haven't already discovered that on page 2.
How many of you have family members that come and help you out? Like if you're doing a garage sale or they said that they're going to come and help clear out the home, what about neighbors, friends, anybody coming to help you? Nobody. It's amazing the number of people that I've had where they'll have neighbors or friends or family that want to come and help, but they don't necessarily have the time because they've got their own lives, they've got their own schedule. So they'll come and help, but it'll be scattered. It won't be as directed as far as what you need. So it's more like weak support or informal support. You don't really have a strong strategy because nobody's really taking the lead. And if somebody takes a lead, I've had it where a family member will take the lead, but then they're making decisions that you don't necessarily like. So then who is it really helping? So really having more of a plan. We had one family, you can talk about the daughter that was great.
Oh, I've worked with a family. The daughter had a very flexible work schedule. She had no children of her own. And so she was like Johnny on the spot with her parents. It was great. I mean, I went in, I gave a few suggestions, daughter's like on it and getting everything done. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I wanted to hire her. But it was an awesome situation, and it worked for both the parents and the daughter, as well as the overall move. But now I've also worked with family members who I have actually had to ask the family to step out of the room because they're fighting in front of me, and mom is upset, and she's crying, and this is not going well. And so it's like I'm the neutral third party, or another professional is the neutral third party who can come in and just like, I don't have any interest in your items except that I want to make you comfortable in your new home. So sometimes having family involved is not necessarily the best way to go. If you have those kids who are Johnny on the spot, they are ready to help. You guys see eye to eye. That's awesome. But if you have the kids that are telling you what to do, because I'm pretty sure all of you in this room are adults, that might not go over so well. So consider like what kind of family members you have. I also have worked with a family or a single woman actually who had her sister who was like on top of it from right at the start, who was willing to help right up until she bought a house. And then that sister disappeared because she was working on her own stuff and buying her own house and doing her own downsizing. So now, so she was already working with us, which was great because I stepped in and was able to help her. So she thought she had support and her support vanished. So it's kind of one of those situations. Know what you have, and again, maybe have a plan B, have a plan C. So if your support network doesn't work out, you have other options.
And then this last one is where you have formal support, and that is actually hiring people to help you with the whole process. And my sister, when Brett and I were getting married, my sister got married first, and she said, Annette, you need to hire a wedding planner. And in my mind, I'm thinking, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
It's like,
Are
no
you
way are we
kidding me?
paying for a wedding planner. This is going to cost money.
And she said, amazingly, it costs less money. And the reason why is because the wedding planner has all of her contacts, and they give discounts on things. So that my sister didn't have on her wedding. So it was like they helped with everything, all aspects of it. It made it go a lot smoother, and it was less expensive.
And less stressful.
And less stressful. When you hire formal support, people that have connections, that know what they're doing, it can cost less money, not more money. So you want to look at that and evaluate it, what works for you. And I'm not saying, like, if you've got the support there and you want to hire, and because we've definitely had clients who are like in their own business prior to retiring, they were definitely much into the project management and could, hey, I know who to hire, great. So then they hire the estate liquidator themselves, they hire the movers, doing everything themselves. That can be stressful, but if you're the type of personality that you want to take it on, that's more like number 4, where it's informal support because you're organizing all of it yourself, but you're having professionals come in and do the different aspects of it. Formal support is where you have somebody that you're hiring that handles everything, all aspects. They're looking out for your best interests. And so there are options for any of that. It depends on what your situation is and what you want things to look like.
So what are the costs? I think we have a slide on it. Let's just run through what the different costs are if we're downsizing.
Right. So
Well, the
costs.
different areas, maybe not the dollar amounts because that's going to be different for
Right.
everybody, but what are the different line items?
Right. So you do need to pay for movers. Many of the movers here will also provide packing services, which is great because who wants to be doing their own packing? It's a lot easier to just consolidate the items that you want packed and have them do it. The costs are going to range, from a small move into a senior community, and that's what I primarily do, so I'll just give you that range, is probably about $2,000. And they can pack and move you in a day. So it's not this long, drawn-out process. Now, of course, if you're going from a 3,000 square foot home to a 2,000 square foot home, you're going to pay for a little bit more of that, and maybe it's going to take a day to pack and a day to move. Now, you can do the packing yourself, and that's fine. You can buy boxes at Home Depots or Lowe's. You can also go to U-Haul, buy boxes, or use their used box donation location, which is also in the South Meadows U-Haul. So you can definitely do that yourself, especially if you have the time to do it. Belongings that are no longer
Let me back up a little bit. So movers, if it's a local move, they charge by their time, so how long it's going to take them to do it. And so oftentimes, if you have everything organized ahead of time, it's going to take them less time as far as the packing, what to pack. And so having somebody else kind of oversee it can be very helpful to make that faster, or you can do that yourself. If you're moving cross-country, then you're going to pay for the weight. And they weigh the truck before they come to your house. They put all the stuff on the truck, and then they weigh the truck after they've loaded it up. So you're going to be charged by the weight. And if you don't fill up a whole truck, then they'll give you a window of time of when they're going to show up at the other end. And usually you're looking at about 12 days. So because they need to fill up the whole truck and then make several stops before they get to your destination. If you're doing a local move, and a local move can be up to 500 miles. So you could move to California and you use a local mover and it will be that same day, and then that would be charged by the time, not the weight.
Correct. So for your belongings that you no longer need, now if you can't part with them or don't have time to sort them, you can clearly get a storage unit, right? I don't know, the storage units here are amazing, and I'm surprised that there's a storage unit nearly on every corner, probably next to the Starbucks. So
We should be investing in them.
That's because we're all kicking the can down the road. We don't want to deal with it now.
It really is. It really is. But I have dealt with clients who have felt that they just can't go through it. They're going through a grieving process right now, and dealing with the stuff is just not in the cards right now. So, everybody has their own time frame for being able to take on these different tasks. But if you need to get a storage unit, of course, is going to depend on what size storage unit you get. And I'm going to say on the average, it's between $100 and $175 a month. It adds up, but maybe if you can get in there, 4 to 6 months down the road, then it's been a wise investment. But if you forget about it, and it's just being automatically withdrawn out of your checking account, and you never visit it, it could really add up to a significant amount of money. I actually helped a woman just actually vacate her storage unit, just because she's like, I haven't been in here in years, and nobody wants my stuff, including me. So, so we did some consignment, we did a lot of donation runs, but I think that was freeing to her to not have a storage unit. As we've mentioned, there's always estate sales. Estate sales, if you have a whole house and that you need to get rid of a lot of these belongings, an estate sale is a way to go. Again, you can't be in the house, you need to have moved, please check with your HOA before, signing somebody up. Actually, most of the estate sale people around here know which communities will allow it and which won't. Donations are the cost of an estate sale is very dependent on how much your items are, kind of the state of your home, the size of your home, the number of items in your home. I've seen it range anywhere between $1,200 for a flat fee setup to $5,000 for a flat fee setup. And then what they do is any profit that's above that, they will split with you, typically on a 50-50 split. So again, they're making a little bit, it's their incentive to make some money. You get a little bit, and then typically there are items in the home that have not sold, so you need to do the clear out, which is down there at the bottom. And the clear out will depend, of course, on how many items are left. Donations, as you know, some of these places are a little picky these days. A lot of places will take it. It's just time and effort to get it there. Smaller items can be transported pretty easily in a vehicle, but some of the larger items, if you have a large furniture piece or you have a heavy item, you need to hire labor and movers to move that. So consider that when you're doing the donations, is unless you have a truck or you have some friends who can help you out, that's great. If not, then you may have to hire that labor cost, or for kind of that kind of labor, $25, $30 an hour. But it takes time, and it takes usually some muscle to do that. Consignment, you can do a couple of items like lightning auctions we've talked about. They take a 15% fee for just advertising, and then they split your cost 50-50 for whatever is made. Now they do a bid situation, so they're just looking for bidders. They're not asking for a specific price. Again, hey, it's probably more money than you had that morning, so it might be worth it. And then furniture consignment, We have consigned furniture here, and probably the one I use the most. They have a a $75 pickup fee for items. They're also picky, so I send them, and you can send them photos to see if they're even interested. They'll come out to the home if they say they're interested, but they still have the right of refusal after looking at the pieces. So they could, may or may not take some items. And then they will also take a 50% cut. And they discount the price for 3 months. So they keep slashing the price for 3 months. And at the end of 3 months, if it hasn't sold, you have the opportunity to take it back or they will donate it.
So Kim, can we touch on the last one? I've still got like 5 questions I want to get through and we've got 5 minutes.
Oh, sorry.
So just on relocation management, if we didn't want to do it all of ourselves and we wanted to help and a system and a plan, what does that kind of look like?
So there's plenty of relocation management help, and there's a website, National Association of Senior Move Managers. So if you're looking for senior move managers in the Reno area, there are several listed there. Outside of this area, there's ones listed there. So perhaps you're moving across country and you need somebody on the other side to help you organize your home on the other side. You can do that. In terms of cost, it's about $55 to about $80 an hour, depending on their experience.
Okay, wonderful.
And I wanted to really touch on the junk dumpster clear out cost of that.
Oh, the cost is, again, it's going to depend, but there's a company, there's many companies, there's Junk Kings, the 1-800-JUNK, AA Junkers. AA Junkers is the one I commonly use because I like their prices, and they're $750 for a full 14 cubic yard box truck, and when I say full, they pack it. They are Tetris masters, so I like the fact that they will stuff it to the gills.
And then Safety Squads also does that too.
Right, and they're on an hourly rate, and I believe, Jeff, give me, I'm sorry? $89 an hour.
So that's Logan, one of our education partners with Safety Squads, and you can get their information just outside. So another question I had for you, Annette, is do I sell my home first or do I move first to my new home? Does it make a difference?
For less stress, I recommend that you move first and then sell the home. Because if you're going to be in the home when it's being sold, you've got to keep it tidy. You got to leave every single time somebody wants to come and see it. And then on top of that, once you get into escrow with a buyer, now you're trying to move quickly. And because now you got to pull everything out and everything needs to happen a lot faster. Versus if you move first, it's on your schedule, it's not on the buyer's schedule. You get moved out, the house gets cleared out, and then the home goes on the market. It is much smoother and less stress for you. So if it's at all possible, that would be the way I would recommend it being done. Not everybody's in a financial position to be able to do that. So we can definitely do it when you're in the home. It just adds a little complexity.
Great. What about preparing my home for sale? Is there anything I need to know there if I'm going through this downsizing process?
Yeah, I often get people asking, okay, I was talking to a couple last week. They're like, we have already arranged to have our entire flooring removed and changed out because we know that's what the buyer wants. Talk to your agent first. If you're planning on moving within the next year, then I would contact your real estate agent, have a conversation with them, have them look at your house and make suggestions on what the buyers are looking for. Because truly, it may be that you don't do anything to your home and it just be sold in as-is condition. It depends on the house, it depends on the situation, but I do not recommend you doing all of these things to your house in preparation for the sale without talking to a professional first. That's going to help you with that.
And if you don't have a real estate agent, I know one who's really good, and I happen to be married to her. So when's the best time to put my home on the market? Should I be holding off, trying to time?
It is impossible to time the market. So really, whatever your situation is, it's best for your timing. I'd focus more on your situation and not what the market is doing at the time. Because any home can sell in any market. We just look at pricing the home correctly for the market. People, I know you want to get the highest price for your home, but it is impossible for us to know what the market's going to look like in 6 months from now, except we can see trends. But what happened when COVID happened? I mean, there are unforeseen things that can happen that we have no idea. So it really gets down to what your situation is and your timing. And then the market, we just price it right for the market at that moment.
Okay.
I had one couple that they had a house that they thought nobody would want, and they wanted to sell it. And they were very frustrated by the fact, so we put it on the market and the house was broken into while it was on the market. It was on a very busy street. And they're like, we don't want this house anymore. I don't know why anybody else would want it. So it can be very deflating. It is not, any house can sell, their house sold, any house can sell in any market. It just has to be priced right.
So Kim, anything you'd like to leave the audience with before we wrap up and go to Q&A?
Yes, so you guys all have this in your handout, so this slide. This is the DIY. So if you want to do it yourself, this is the process. So there's 15 steps that we've broken it down into, that actually the Janelles have broken it down into. It is a great process. Now, there might be a point in here where you can do 1 and 2, but from 3 to 15, you're like, no way. I'm gonna find somebody, a professional who can help me with that. And there are professionals that can help you all along the way. But so take a look at that. Where are you willing to do? How much are you willing to do? How much are your friends and family willing to do? And, or hire it out.
Annette, anything you would like to leave the audience with?
Be open to possibilities. I know I am first one to admit I can be very dogmatic in my thinking, that it's only this way and no other way. Be open to possibilities. You may miss something. When I have conversations with other people, just learn about other options, go and explore and see what possibilities there are out there for you, and then decide what you want, and decide sooner rather than later. Even, I know the majority of you raised your hand that you want to stay in your home for as long as possible. I think that's fantastic, but plan for the what ifs so that somebody else isn't doing it for you.
Thank you. Was this helpful? Just show of hands? Yeah, good. It's always hard knowing what the audience are looking for. So one thing we always want our audience to take advantage of is all of our wonderful education partners that are here. So if you are trying to work out plans in whatever area of life it may be, please take advantage of the education partners that we have as part of this program, because they're a resource for you. And if they don't have the answer, I know they'll go out of their way to connect you to someone who does. And on your yellow evaluation form, if you think of any of the partners can be of help to you, we added a box there that you would like to have a coffee date just to discuss whatever the plans might be. Maybe it's making modifications to your home and you want to talk to safety squads. Maybe it's talking to one of our communities and finding out more. Maybe it's talking to Sanford Centre for Aging and finding out more about their fitness programs and their medication management program. Whatever it might be, all of the partners are happy to sit down and have a coffee and just work out how they might be able to help you. And the same goes for the three of us. If you want to have a coffee with Kim, Annette, myself, if you think we could help in some way, please just check the box. We're here to help. So just raise your hand if you have a question, and then one of our mic runners will get to you. So Mary Lou, if we could start over here, I see a couple of hands. Oh, actually, Lisa's already got, go ahead.
Okay, this is a loaded question for Annette. I read about now how you negotiate sales commissions for real estate. What are you guys doing, and how do you do it?
Great question.
Yeah, so that was the lawsuit that came out for the National Association of Realtors. It covers the entire United States. And so before the lawsuit, when I would meet with a client that was looking to sell their home, I would negotiate commission, total commission. So it would be commission for paying for my side as well as the agent that brings in the buyer. That is no longer the case. So now when I meet with the seller, I negotiate my commission, and the buyer's agent talks, in order for them to show any homes, they need to have a contract with their buyer indicating how much the buyer is going to pay their agent to represent them. When they write an offer on your home, that agent will put in that number, whatever percentage they've negotiated with their client, in the contract. So you, as the seller, it would be coming off of the proceeds from your sale still, but it would be a negotiated amount. And quite frankly, it's the buyer that is purchasing your home, so typically they're financing it or they're paying cash for your home. One of those things is happening. So that, in other words, they're actually paying for it, but you have to have it in mind as a seller that there is going to be a cost that you're still going to be paying for the buyer's agent's fee. It's just whatever has been negotiated with the buyer with their agent.
Thank you.
Do you know about that before?
Let's get the mic to you just so everyone can hear.
Do you know what the buyer is going to be asking for? Because there'll be multiple buyers before you sell the house.
You have no idea what the buyer has negotiated with their agent. However, it is a negotiated point for you. So when a buyer writes an offer on your home and the agent has put in a percentage in the contract, you as the seller can say, I'm not going to pay that much. You as the buyer can make up the difference. So it is a negotiated point, as is every part of the contract is.
Just like price, I'm not going to
Just
accept
like
that
price.
low price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had instances where we're like, okay, we're okay with that, but we want you to pay more, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, and then we'll credit that amount back or pay that to your agent. So it is negotiated.
Thank you. Great question. Over this side. And show of hands on the left-hand side. Who has a question? So Lisa can just get to you. Perfect.
Hi. I'm wondering if you have any experience or suggestions on protecting people like myself that go online to sell, when you're advertising to sell furniture or whatever. Do you have any suggestions or experience from,
Do you mean how can I stay safe as the seller selling my piece of furniture? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I'm just saying, the three of you, do you have any suggestions to protect us from,
Safety
the things that are
scams.
going on? Yeah.
You guys want to start?
I would suggest meeting in a place that is neutral. Now, furniture, you're not going to be hauling that around. But if it's at a storage unit or something like that, where you're not inviting people into your home, or at least having somebody else present when you're doing that, so you're not alone.
And then just payment. I'd always suggest just taking cash. Don't get fooled with a supposed money order or a cashier's check or something that's going to bounce later and you're out of pocket and have no way to follow up with them. And then if you're doing it online, just watch out for all the scams, and hopefully a lot of you were at our scam seminar earlier, people wanting to send you payments in all sorts of different electronic means. Try to stay away from that, because again, a lot of those are just scams. Or if they're asking you to send them money first, that's a scam. So just be aware of all of the scams. If you're posting on Facebook or Craigslist, people are out to try to take advantage of you. Not everybody, but just be careful.
If it happens to be a piece of furniture, maybe you could have it moved to your garage so that the only thing they see is the inside of your garage. You don't want to invite them in your home.
Yeah, and again, have someone with you.
And yes, have someone with you.
I just have a quick question for Kim. You were talking about clearing out belongings that you no longer need, and you said someplace that charges $89 an hour. Where was that?
So the $89 is the safety squads who will help you move the items, especially larger items. They have the ability to do that. They'll take smaller items too, but they will help you do that. And you can see Jeff after too if you want to get his card.
Or Logan, who's with us today. So, Logan, do you want to just stand up so if anyone's trying to identify you outside? Yep. That handsome man in the black at the back. Yep. Over this side, yes.
There are a bazillion online people that offer to help you pack and sell, take to the post office and all of that. Are you allowed, or will you give us, a list of people that you have worked with and trust?
That's a great question, but we don't work with anyone who, advertises that service online.
Why don't you?
Just efficiency, just the amount of time involved, and just trying to find reputable people. So we have people we work with that we know are reputable. A lot of those people, unfortunately, online are offering, try it out, but don't show up, aren't reliable, disappear with your stuff, whatever it might be. It's just hard finding quality people. So not to deter anyone, but yeah, if you're trying to find someone who's going to take the things to the post office because you're selling it on eBay, yeah, it's just challenging to find people.
I would actually ask them, if you have a company that you're looking into, ask them for references, and then check into those references before you hire them.
Yeah, but that could be another one of those online things. They only ask their friends and family to give references.
True, but I would think that there would be fewer of those inquiries, so that is the best way for you to kind of weed that out, what kind of response you get. Is it crickets? Or do they actually give you people and then you can ask questions of those references?
And Tim is a great resource here in the back of Stand Up, Tim, for, the different types of scams online, people offering help, people willing to do stuff for you. If you even just go search the scams database with the Better Business Bureau, you'll be scared when you look at all the crazy scams that are going on. Yeah.
Not to scare you.
Not to scare you, but yeah, it's unfortunately the reality we live in. Where's our mic? Any other questions? We're going to be finished early today.
So one of the things that we could really use your help as far as helping to spread the word, we did put on your table the tear sheets. If you go to any coffee shops, grocery stores, or anywhere where they've got a bulletin board that you could put that up at, that would be fantastic to help spread the word about the seminar series. And then we also have extra schedules. If you have a neighbor or a friend that you would like to invite to come along, please do give them the schedule. We are working on next year's calendar, and that's why we sent out the online eval just asking you what kind of topics you would like to see. We are in the process of solidifying that, and by December we will have next year's calendar for you.
Yeah, so before we wrap up, any last questions? We have one over here.
Put on the thing, I would like a coffee date to discuss my plans. And if I checked one, let's say I wanted to meet with Kim, how is it followed up? What information do you want? Or how are you going to follow it up?
We will call you up and set a time to meet. So whoever you put on there, and if it's one of the education partners, then we'll contact the education partner and ask them to reach out to you. So whomever you want.
One sec. Lisa, could you just pass the mic back to this gentleman?
And for instance, if we wanted Kim to come by our house, or a neutral place for coffee, and we wanted her to come by and have coffee, could we pay her a fee to do that, or would it just be complimentary?
Complimentary.
No, this is just totally complimentary
Yeah,
of us,
absolutely.
any of our partners. We just want to help. We just want to be a resource there for you. So sometimes people are uncomfortable calling or meeting, coming into the office or whatever it might be. So if it would be more comfortable to have a coffee or phone call or whatever it is you want, we just want to be here to help.
This is just a suggestion for the person who is looking for somebody to take things to the post office, is that if you're on Nextdoor, in your community, often there are people who advertise handyman services, any kind of home services. A lot of them are licensed, and then there will be other people who recommend them. And even though Nextdoor mostly is about lost cats and dogs, apparently, but there are some out there that are legitimate. I've hired people to help with my sister's cleaning out the snow on the driveway, that kind of thing. So there are various people who just do odd jobs. And so you might find somebody that way on Nextdoor. It's on Nextdoor. It's an online app, Nextdoor, and when you sign up for it online, and there's ads on it too, and and people complaining about many things, but there are the occasional, yeah, see, everybody knows about that. Anyway, there are various people who are licensed and, seem legitimate contractors and suppliers, retired people sometimes, young people sometimes, willing to do those sorts of things. And so you still want to check them out. But it is another resource, and just you can limit what you see from your local community on Nextdoor. You don't have to get all of Reno, and you can get, you can kind of manage what you do see on that feed. And I've hired people to make some beautiful cedar wood shelves and different kinds of things. So there are various services from legitimate people on there.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's a great suggestion. So that's nextdoor.com is the website you can go to. They also have the app that you can download onto your phone. And it's great because neighbours will be recommending, saying, yeah, this person's above board, they did work for us also. And again, as the lady said, do your due diligence. But yeah, it can be another great resource. You put in your zip code and then narrow down to where you are within the city. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions before we just wrap up? So I just want to thank you all for being here again today and investing in yourselves and learning. And yeah, if any of us can help in any way, please reach out. Enjoy your chocolate if you haven't already. Yes, thank you to our panelists, and have a fantastic, blessed rest of the day.